Parti-Quebecois leader Paul St-Pierre Plamondon wants a ban on cell phones inside primary and secondary schools. He says that school children and adolescents should no longer be able to find refuge on their smartphones during breaks, recess, or lunchtime. Plamondon is also asking for a parliamentary commission on time spent in front of screens by children and to implement a minimum age requirement for kids to have access to social media. Paul St-Pierre Plamondon joins us now on the line. Mr. Plamondon, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Okay, let me ask you this first. Are you addicted to your smartphone?
Yes, I am to a certain level. I think it's a functional addiction, but it's still a problem sometimes, especially with the type of job I have. So we need to be honest and say it. Those technologies are built to create addiction, and they have an impact on our mental health, on our quality of life, but it's more acute and it's more dangerous when we speak of children because they are developing their social skills. They are there to learn, and studies are very clear. The more they spend time on their smartphone, the more problems of learning they have, the more mental health and physical health problems as well. So we need to take this very seriously, and that's happening everywhere in the world right now. Governments are looking at the issue very seriously.
What is the evidence that you are looking at to inform your decision?
Studies at all levels, from several countries. As I just said, right now in Quebec, 95% of kids are not following the recommendations in terms of screen time. Mm. And the impact is obvious in terms of learning disadvantage, self-esteem problems, problems of obesity, really serious problems. And the data, the research is very clear, and it's voluminous as well. So the issue right now is what is the appropriate measure? So we've dealt with cigarettes in the schoolyards. We've dealt with alcohol. We deal with betting online that is forbidden for minors. How do we deal with companies that are giants and whose engineering, whose product is designed to create an addiction among young people? Let's talk about TikTok as well, who's controlled by the Chinese government and who is really designed for addiction. How do we deal with this? So I don't pretend I have all the solutions. All I'm saying is we should study this with experts and think about how we protect first and foremost the health and the future of our kids.
What's wrong with leaving this issue to parents? Because that's the number one thing I hear back from people who are against any type of government intervention on this, saying parents just need to do their jobs. That's
true at home. And I agree that at home it's for parents to decide. But at the school, it's really the responsibility of the school. So when I was a teenager, I couldn't bring a Nintendo Game Boy, and it reminds that I'm not that young. But I couldn't bring a Nintendo Game Boy in class or at school. It was forbidden. In the same way that many things are forbidden at school, you can't smoke. You can't. There are many things you can't do because we know that minors don't have majority, and they need to be protected in their interest in terms of learning and health. So, and then we need to discuss how it can be done and what's been done elsewhere in the world, because many countries have already moved forward and have dealt with that issue. So that's why at least studying it with experts and looking what's going on in the rest of the world would be a very good idea.
Follow-up question. Was it a Game Boy regular, a color, advanced?
It was black and white, very like the Tetris version. Like the basic Tetris version. So, and in terms of addiction, the level of addiction of social media and of games on tablets today is way more... It's really a technology that is way more addictive than what it used to be. Mm-hmm. And it was obvious at that time that you don't bring things that is not related to learning in school. And I don't know where we forgot about those principles, but school should be for learning, and policies at school should be towards the best interest, the health, and the education of our kids. And again, the data is very clear. It is dangerous in terms of mental health and learning skills.
Now, is there political consensus on this issue? When you look at your colleagues in the National Assembly, what are they saying to you? Regardless of party, what are you hearing?
For some reason, I'm the only person who actually talks about this. I don't know the reason for that. However, as maybe you've noticed, I take stances that sometimes seem original at first, and then it ends up being it ends up somewhere after a while.
Yeah.
So I think it's really a serious issue that we need to be moving forward very soon. And I'll leave the reaction to other parties, but it is a reality that we've been the only party tackling this serious issue and at least requiring a discussion on the topic. But yesterday, Minister Drainville finally said that he is considering our proposal. So it's moving, but sometimes it takes a bit of time.
We're with PQ leader Paul St-Pierre Plamondon talking about his proposal to completely ban smartphones for the entire school day, even including recess breaks and the lunchtime period. So let me ask you, what do you think, or what are the top things that you worry about when it comes to youth and their mental health, and that you feel we can find that direct relation to the glowing rectangle they're holding in their hands for so much of the day?
It's about social skills. So if during the recess, instead of doing what we have done when we were kids, that is playing, making jokes, making friends, having conflicts, learning what is a social life, if instead of doing that, you're hooked on TikTok, there will be consequences when you're adult. There will be immediate consequence in terms of how you feel and how much focus you can have in class, because the rhythm, the way it's designed, is not only addictive, it's really extremely fast, which makes deficient attention deficits more likely afterwards. But on the long run, it will create difficulties from a social standpoint. Some studies suggest that it's also a threat to democracy, because overexposure to those technologies will bring people to feel anxiety, and those people will vote for authoritarian leaders and will not tolerate democracy because they have trouble dealing with different point of views, with conflict. Building a social life, being in a relationship with other humans, looking at them in the eyes, being in a relationship with nature, with forest, all this needs to be reintroduced, a bit like Sweden did as well with books. Sweden went all in with technologies and screens, and recently just made a 180-degree turn, and they reintroduced the books. They got out the screen. They got the screen out of the schools. So we need to think about that, and that's one aspect. And of course, if they're in front of a screen, they're not doing sports, so they're not moving. So the proportion of our kids that are dealing with weight issues and health issues related to lack of physical activity is really on the rise. And that's also another consequence.
Is this issue even more important in Quebec because of language? And I'll tell you this, I don't know if I've met a 20-something Quebecois who is not on Instagram in English. So I wonder if language also comes into play here with your proposal.
Not in my proposal. It's really a health issue, but it's true that we are dealing with a cultural standardization, not only through Instagram and TikTok, because you get a lot of French-speaking material in Quebec, but rather also, like most importantly, with Netflix, YouTube. So it used to be that there was a planification and an influence of the CRTC on what's being played on television and at the radio. Now it's free for all. And it's also, but it's most importantly, a health issue. If we speak of pornography and material that is really not appropriate for minors, the problem right now is that we don't know what our kids are spending their time on those screens. So I think, yes, there's a cultural and linguistic issue, but it's not the most, on that topic, it's not the most important aspect of it. It's really, are we taking care of our kids? Are we making sure that they're doing okay, that they feel okay, and that they're capable of learning? And that seems to me pretty fundamental.
Paul St-Pierre Plamondon is leader of the Parti-Quebecois. Monsieur Plamondon, à la prochaine.
À la prochaine.